Okay, so for our last demo of this class, I wanted us to paint a landscape that had some type of structure in it, a farmhouse, an old barn, something like that. We've been painting up in the Osage Hills and learning how to create depth in a landscape. And I wanted us to have some type of physical structure other than trees and grass to be painting. So, in looking at my photographs, I decided that we would cross the pond and go to Italy. I was fortunate enough to participate in a week-long both still life and landscape workshop in northern Italy a few years back, and I took some wonderful pictures of this estate that we were on, and there were some gorgeous morning light photographs that I have of the morning light shining onto some of the farmhouses and structures on the estate. And I've been wanting to paint one of those now all this time, and I've decided to use the opportunity for this. And I think that you guys are really going to have fun with it. I know that it's really hard to see in the video, but of course you all will be getting the photograph to start your underpainting, and of course to also work from during class. So just have to bear with me during this video and I'll describe it as we go along. So I am going to go ahead and get my underpainting in. I've toned my canvas, and I'm going to, we have a very large foreground here. I am working on a 12 by 12 panel. So I've got a square panel, which is a little different shape than the actual photo. So I'll just need to make adjustments for myself. So I'm going to, there is, where the foreground comes up, then there is some greens or vine shrubbery right before this farmhouse, picture of this farmhouse is. So I'm going to put where these, where the foreground ends at about, I think about here. I want it above. It'll come up a little bit more. I want it, of course, above the center. Remember, we've talked about that. And and I've done a lot of editing on this photo. I have edited it down quite a bit, and I'm going to show you all in class what I did for that, because I want you to see how editing this out makes a better composition. Okay, so I have this big tree that is kind of leaning toward the farmhouse, and the trees in front of it would just adds, I think, to the composition, because obviously this farmhouse and the light, this morning light shining on the farmhouse is our point of interest. So, having certain things leaning towards the point of interest just draws the eye. And there's even, you can even see a little bit of some of the other buildings and farmhouses in the background through this tree. The tree comes right along here. So this is a part of the wall over here. I may make it a little bit wider. I'll see as I go along. And see if I do my little vertical notches here so I can make some decisions, and my horizontal notches. So looking at this photograph, this tree really comes further out, even like that. Takes up a big part of this area. So now I have, of course, these trees in the front, but I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of establish where there's a wall that comes along here, kind of this stone wall. And then I have this farmhouse in the back. And I'm going to bring this over, I think. I'm going to bring it over about here. The roof of it is right here. And then we have the rest of it that is a little bit lower roof line. Let's see, wall. I'm going to bring this up much higher. It's important with our underpainting to get our drawing in good. So this is my wall in the front. I'm going to bring this up higher. This is where this farmhouse is. And then we have this roof. Then I've got the roof line of the part of the structure that's lower. It's going to be more like that. This roof comes here. There's a tree that's going to be coming down right here. And then there's 3 trees right here. So I'm probably going to bring this tree down even more like this. There's more of it coming around. So then we've got these trees, which is really our darkest darks. I'm going to go ahead and just get this dark here. And I'm just gonna really just connect them because pretty much are. Okay. And of course they come down over the wall here. Okay, so now I am going to, there's another tree right here. It's taller. It's going to come down along here. I mean, this has a really funny little roof. It's obviously very, very old. You know, these structures were built centuries ago, which makes them so charming and fun to paint. And then there's a tree over here. And I'll probably just make all of this trees. I've actually edited this right here, but I think I'm going to just make a lot of trees next to it. And there's also a little bit of tree right up here above that roof line. And then we have all of this foreground. And here we have a little bit of, you can see some of the dirt up front. And even some tracks of maybe what was a mower. And there is this really beautiful morning light that's just shining, because we have morning light that's on this big tree right here, that is right here in the foreground, and then of course at the front of these of the farmhouse. So that's going to be our point of interest. In fact, I'm really wanting this right here, of this light that's hitting this part of the front of the farmhouse, to be our point of interest. So, you know, with that, you know, we'll make this all much lighter as we go up, but it has these kind of streams of light that are really beautiful. And then this is very dark. This greenery, shrubbery, whatever, in front of the wall. And for our tree, we have a lot of dark there. Here. And I'm going to take out my lights, and this tree that's coming up here is catching a lot of light here and along here. And you know, we have this little side wall, which I really enjoy because it kind of brings the viewer's eye. It's another way to bring the viewer eye going up into the painting, and it also kind of provides some harmony to the painting because it's a part of the wall of some of these structures. So it kind of, we've got all of that going on up here, but when we bring it down here, it really adds some visual harmony. So it's really catching light again, like some of the farmhouse was. So I'm going to pull that out. There. And for the farmhouse, I'm going to pull some out there. And then some here. And I'm going to go back to this roof line. Just right here. And then of course I want to pull out my lights for the sky. So go ahead and do that. Well, essentially I'm just pulling out all of the area where the sky is going to be. So we can have some clean mixtures, clean paint for the sky. Up here with a tree. Okay. So I have mixed my paints. Show you what I got. Very similar to a lot of what we've been using. I've got my very darkest dark, which is really these trees back here. There is a little bit of this one tree right here that's very, very dark. A couple of other spots, but these trees are very dark. I have our mixes of the ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow, in dark, mid-tone, and light. So that's just has an increase of yellow and white. So I have 3 values. Also started mixing some of that viridian green and yellow ochre that we added last week. So I have really a dark and a lighter of that, and that will just be some additional greens that we use in our foreground to add some variety. And speaking of foreground, I have this kind of plum color. It is the alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, white, and it is grayed down a bit with the yellow ochre. But it leans to the alizarin crimson side. So that will be some of these maybe earth colors that we've got here in the front. And for my farmhouse, I have, it's really similar to this plum color, but a lot lighter. Plus I have some of the roof color, which has a little bit of gray down orange with ultramarine blue. For the very lightest part, and this will probably end up going a lot lighter, for the sides of the farmhouse that is really lit up from the sun, is essentially this mix, the orange mix with a lot more yellow and white in it. And then of course I have my sky colors. So I will start with my darks, these trees back here. And I'm going to go ahead and put these in. I'm really connecting them almost as just one shape, because that's essentially how they are in the photo. And then this tree has the shadow side. And then this is a slightly lighter, but I'll come to that in just a minute. I'm going to go and put my dark in on this big tree here. It's a little thick. You know, when we start out, we want to, especially with our darks, we want it to be thin. And I'll go ahead and put some of these lights that's in the tree. So I will go to, I'm gonna go just up to my, really start with my dark. Remember, it's not the darkest dark, it's a step up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. And then I can go lighter later. I need a better brush, something that I can scrub in better. This, it's a little bit darker here. And then I had the light on this tree right here. And I'm going to use that mix of the Viridian and yellow ochre for that, because this is further back and it's a little cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of that. Okay, so I also have these trees over here, and they're not quite as dark, but they're definitely cooler. Get this a little bit darker here. Put that same mix that I did on this tree here. I've also got this tree way back in the back where the farmhouse is, but I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll do my farmhouse first before I put that in. So now I have the dark with this wall, and it starts about here. And then the tops of them are catching some of that light. So I'll probably put some of this warmer light on the top. I know I'll be putting that on this tree also. But I also will probably add some of that other light that we made, that we put over on this tree and these trees. So I'm going to go ahead and do my foreground. I don't go to that very dark that we used up here, because this is the darkest dark. This is not. And I'm not going to put my that plum color in here yet, because if I'm scrubbing that in with all of this green, it is going to brown up quite a bit. So we don't want to wait, and then I'll put that on later. way up here before it starts catching that morning sun. And I'll do some of that other mix, that other dark mix, for a variety of that Viridian green and yellow ochre. So some of that will be in here also. And so now I'm going to go lighter. Change my brush. And now we're going to really get into these beautiful lights. And something else, I also have this mix of Viridian and cadmium yellow with white. And it does add, it's more of a chromatic green, and I wanted to put that, a lot of it where we see the morning sunlight, because it will really be pretty, because it's so much more chromatic than our other mixes. And when you have a mixture that has that chroma in it, it will look even brighter than a mix of the same value that doesn't have that chroma in it. So there's also some shadowy grass kind of in between these streaks. You know, there was obviously, most likely, I don't know, building, trees, fences, something that was causing a shadow there, which I think is pretty. So I want to put it in. And then right up next to this wall is darker grass. Back to some of this light. and some of that dark. Catching more light up here. And so now I'm going to put these farmhouse colors in into a different brush. So I'm going to this wall in. And that's the shadow side of the wall. And see, I'm going to raise this up just a bit. And that is slightly, there's a little bit of light, or it's lighter on the edge, or on the edge, on the top of that wall. So I'm going to try and get it here. Much lighter here because this is the front of it and it's catching the sun. So let's see, since I raised that wall, I'm gonna probably end up raising these trees just a bit. And that's okay. And I know that there's a window right here that's kind of above this wall. I'll probably wait and put that in later. This over just a bit. You know, we're always drawing because the more we paint, the more we see. And then there is a roof. And we're going with kind of a red roof. this roof is obviously catching some sunlight on it, so we will get it lighter. Raise this right here up. Since we raised up the wall, this really needs to be taller. And I'm going to get where the light, the morning sun is hitting. And it's right here. And right over here. Now this will get lighter in my next pass, my next block in. Especially right here, because I really want that to be our focus, our point of interest. I don't want it right in the center, so I'll probably bring it over just a bit. And some of these trees right here are also catching some light, but they're not going to be this as light as the farmhouse. But I'm going to add some, pull these up a bit. Darker of that wall will come out up just a little bit higher. So when we have a farmhouse, a barn, whatever, in a painting set back like this, it just doesn't have details. We really are not going to have a lot of details in it. So here is this wall over here. Of course, catching the light. And this will gradually get darker. Light. drawing in my grasses off. I'm gonna go back and get this a little better. And this is kind of turning away over here. Obviously, I'll be working on that drawing when I come back to my second pass of paint. And then this tree will come down also a bit over the wall. And then I will put in my sky. Start with my lighter, which is really right over here. So it's kind of to be a little bit brighter. And I gotta get these back trees. I just forgot that. To get those in. So I'm just gonna do this cooler green mix that we have, our Viridian and yellow ochre, and put that in. So I think I will still, in my second pass, I am still going to raise this up. When I raise my wall up, everything has to go up. So before I finish with that tree back there. I want to do that. So I'm going to, you know, it's good for you guys to see how I make these adjustments, especially with, you know, a structure, a farmhouse in the background. And I really want to put some emphasis on this farmhouse. So that's why I wanted to kind of raise some of that up for the viewer's eye to go up to look at it. So even though it doesn't have detail, we still want the viewer to look at it because that's really our point of interest. That's where we want them to go. So now I can go back to that tree. Kind of put that in. And then I'll go back to my sky. Too dark. This tree is going to come up. This tree is going to come up. In relation to that farmhouse, they've got to come up quite a bit. Part of the sky I can see over here, so I'm just leaving some space for that when I come back with my second block in. So I don't want these to be like short, middle, tall, because that would be too distracting. So these two I'm going to have the same height, and then this one is taller. probably going to take this off of my canvas. I don't know if you all can hear that whistle. It's that whistle they make at noon. I guess it's a testing of the whistle. Do the sky or backgrounds, to do these vertical strokes. So it will blend, kind of have a transition from light to dark. And also we have that problem with our lights when on our paintings. Can cause a lot of glare on oil painting. So if we do some vertical strokes, it'll cut down on the glare. Okay, so that's my first block in of color, my underpainting, my block in of color. And as you all know, then I will go back with darker paint. I'll probably still have to make a few adjustments. That's just a part of painting. But I'll be adding thicker paint on top of this to bring it up to where we want to have a finished painting. I haven't done that plum color in the front. I think I've got a little bit of time. I'm going to do that for you guys real quick before I start. Let's see. So this is going to be just some accents down here. You know, we've got this earth that we can see, part of the dirt in the front, and that's what we're trying to simulate here in the front, and it just adds that variety and warmth to our painting. So, okay, so again, this is all I'm going to do. I'll go back, thicker paint. I'll bring the painting to class so you all can see the finished piece.